when I was talking with our friend Vishwanathan, we were talking just recently about the second Mangalam verse of Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu. And since yesterday I was talking to a group of Bhagavan's devotees in Houston, and I was talking about the first Mangalam verse, I thought today I would just begin by talking about the second Mangalam verse. In this verse, Bhagavan says, I don't know if any of you are Tamilian, but what Tamilians, if you are Tamilians, you'll understand. Bhagavan says, maraṇabhaya mikku makkaḷ, araṇ-āha, maraṇabhava-millā mahēśaṉ, caraṇamē, sāvā, sāvā, tam cārvoḍutāñ cāvuṭṛār, sāvu enam sārvarō sāvā. What this means is, in the first sentence he says, pure-hearted people who have intense fear of death will take refuge at the feet of God, of mahēśaṉ, who is devoid of death and birth, depending on him as their araṇ. Araṇ means a fortress, a place of protection. The second sentence he says, by their surrender, they experience death. Actually, this second sentence, it can be interpreted in two ways, because sāvu, in the context of the previous sentence, we can take sāvu, because the verb that ends the previous sentence is sāvā, which in this context means taking refuge. So tam sāvu can mean they're taking refuge. By their taking refuge, or with their taking refuge, as soon as they take refuge, they attain death. That's one meaning. Another meaning of sāvu is attachment. So some people interpret this verse as they, along with their attachments, attain death. I think the first meaning is more appropriate because it's got more meaning in it, because obviously if we die, our attachments will die with us. We there means the ego. If the ego dies, its attachments will die along with it. So that is that's a fairly obvious fact. So, but I think what Bhagavan means here is, but as soon as we surrender, the ego is annihilated. That is when we take complete refuge at the feet of the Lord, the ego merges there and disappears, and that is we're then dead once for all. And then he says in the final verse, will those who are deathless, that is, having died, once the ego has died, we become deathless. So will those who are deathless again have the thought of death? That is, the fear of death or the thought of death is there only for the ego. The only refuge for the ego to escape from this fear of death, the only permanent refuge, is to take refuge at the feet of the Lord. And we can only truly take refuge at his feet by surrendering ourselves completely. This is originally it wasn't Bhagavan and Murga's plan to make this as part of the Maṅgalam. He first wrote the last two lines of the first Maṅgalam verse, and that was to be the Maṅgalam. But when he after Bhagavan had written 40 verses plus one verse at the beginning, one two-line verse at the beginning, the work was shown to Kavyaganta. And Kavyaganta, seeing it, he said, oh, why are all the other verses in 4 lines? Why the Maṅgalam verse is only 2 lines? So Bhagavan and Murgana, I mean, there was a reason, because in Tamil there's a meter called Vemba. A normal Vemba is 4 lines. But there's a 2-line form of a Vemba called a Kural Vemba. And in fact, there's a very great work in Tamil called Tirukkural, which is about 1,300 verses in Kurl meter. So it's a very, very ancient and revered form of poetry, and Bhagavan had very nicely given a very succinct teaching in those 2 lines. But since Kavyaganta raised this objection, Murugan and Bhagavan discussed among themselves, and Bhagavan said, okay, I'll make it into a Vemba for his satisfaction. So he then wrote the first 2 lines, which clarified the question that he asked at the beginning of the second 2 lines. But then Kavyaganta said, but how can this be a maṅgalam verse? This doesn't mention God at all. A maṅgalam verse should mention God. So he then went through the whole work, and he found only one verse. I'm not quite sure exactly where it was, but it was this particular verse where Bhagavan uses the word mahēśaṉ, a name of God. So he said this would be a more appropriate verse to have as a maṅgalam verse. Then again, Murugan and Bhagavan discussed among themselves, and Bhagavan said, okay, the first verse is pure ṇāna. This verse can be taken as surrender. Actually, they're one and the same path, but it's just 2 ways of explaining the same path. So we'll take that is the first maṅgalam, we'll take this as the second maṅgalam. So then Bhagavan wrote another verse, which is now verse 31, and added that. So the total then came up to 42, with 2 maṅgalam and then 40 verses in the main text. So that's how this verse came to be part of a maṅgalam. But it's good in a way that this is part of a maṅgalam, because we can contrast it very nicely with the first maṅgalam verse. In the first maṅgalam verse, Bhagavan is talking about Uļḷadu. Uļḷadu means what is. It is it's a term that is used in a lot of Tamil spiritual and philosophical literature to mean the Satvastu, the Brahman, basically, the ultimate reality, what actually exists. So what he refers to in that verse as Uļḷadu is what he refers to here as mahēśaṉ. Because though he uses the name of a personal God, when we surrender ourselves, the difference between the difference between God and soul, obviously when we surrender to God, there's no difference between ourself and God. So God is no longer a personal God. God appears to be a person only from our point of view when we seem to be a person. When we surrender ourselves completely to him, we merge in him, and what remains is just the Uļḷadu, the paripurna vastu, the ultimate, the only really existing thing, our own Atma Swarupa. So, and what in that first maṅgalam verse he talks about, he says, how can we meditate upon that Uļḷadu, or Uļḷadu, he said, that upon that Satvastu? How can we meditate on that Satvastu? Since the Satvastu is beyond thought, how can we meditate upon it? And he gives the answer: being in the heart as it is meditating on it. The heart there doesn't mean any place, it means that Satvastu itself. Being in that Satvastu, as that Satvastu, is meditating on it. What he describes there as meditation on that Satvastu is what he describes here as surrender. Because he says here, maraṇabhava-millā, that means birthless and deathless, mahēśaṉ, caraṇamē, the feet of the birthless and deathless mahēśaṉ. Bhagavan often said the feet of God are what is shining in us as eye. And there's one quite well-known incident when Janaki Mata, who was a very staunch devotee from Tanjore, once when she came to Bhagavan, she saw him coming from the Gosala, and seeing Bhagavan out in the open, not in the hall, she thought this is a very nice opportunity. So she went to him and she fell at his feet and she held his feet. And Bhagavan looked down at her and said, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm holding the feet of my Guru." Bhagavan said, "This is not the feet of your Guru. the feet of your guru is shining in you as I. These feet, this is a perishable body, these feet will go away. If you cling to these feet, you'll be disappointed. But if you cling to the feet, the real feet of the guru, which are shining in you as I, then you will never be disappointed. So what he means here by taking refuge at the feet of God is turning within, and like he describes what is self-surrender in a beautiful sentence in ṇāha, in Who Am I? He says, Anma chintane tabira, vera chintane ku satram idum kodamal, atmadishta paranai irpade, tanne isunaku aripadam. That means Anma chintane means Atma chintana, giving no room to the rising of any chintana, any thought other than Atma chintana. Atma chintana literally means thought of oneself, but which means self-attentiveness, or swarupa dhyana, giving no room to the rising of any thought other than that Atma chintana, and being atmanishta paranai. That means being one who is firmly fixed in oneself, in Atman. That is giving oneself to God. So what he means by surrender is just keeping our mind fixed in ourself, because ourself is the true form of God. So what he's describing here, he's just in a more metaphorical language, he's describing exactly the same thing that he's saying in the first maṅgalam verse. And Bhagavan often used to say, there are two ways: either investigate who you are or surrender yourself completely. But though he used to offer this as if they are two different parts, he often clarified, actually they are one and the same part. Because how can we surrender ourselves to God unless we know what we ourselves are? We must know ourselves in order to surrender ourselves. And the nature of the ego is to rise by grasping things other than itself. So long, he says in one of the verses of Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu, Urupatri undam, urupatri nikkum, urupatri undu mika ongum, uruvittu urupatrum, uruvatra peya hande, tedinal otum pidicum. No, tedinal otum pidicum, uruvatra peya hande. That means grasping form, it comes into existence. Grasping form, it stands. Grasping and feeding on form, it flourishes. Leaving one form, it grasps another form. If sought, it takes flight. If investigated, it takes flight. Such is the nature of this uruvatra peya hande. That's a formless phantom ego. So the ego comes into existence. The ego is formless. It has no form of its own. But it cannot come into existence without grasping a form as itself. So grasping form means grasping any type of phenomena is a form. The first form of the ego grasp is a body. It projects like in a dream. When we begin to dream, we project a body. We take that body as I. Through the five senses of that body, we project a world. And it all seems, while we're dreaming, it all seems to be real. Only when we wake up, we understand it was all just a creation of our own mind. So this is how the ego rises. Since it rises by grasping form, so long as since it stands by grasping form, and since it feeds itself by grasping form, we obviously cannot destroy the ego by attaching ourselves to any form. So the only way to destroy it is for the ego to try to grasp itself, to try to investigate itself, try to see what itself is. If it looks at itself, it disappears because it doesn't actually exist. It's just like a phantom. If we're walking in a dark forest at night, we may see ghosts all around us. They seem to be ghosts when we don't look at them, but if we look at them, we just see, oh, it's the moonlight coming through the trees. It's not really a ghost. So ghosts aren't real. They seem to exist when we don't look at them carefully enough. So this ego, When it's looking elsewhere, it seems to exist. When it looks at itself, it disappears. So the only way we can surrender ourselves is by looking at ourselves. When we look at ourselves, the ego disappears, and what then remains, that is mahēśaṉ, that is Uḷḷadu. And the fear of death, because we identify ourselves as a body, because we experience ourselves as a body, we all know the body is going to die. Because we are the immortal reality, our own death never seems quite real to us. We know we're going to die one day, but it's not going to be today anyway. Some time away. Bhagavan said, even in the midst of a battlefield, when a soldier sees his comrades dying around him, he thinks, I'm not going to die now, I'm going to live longer. Because it's impossible for us to conceive our own non-existence. We cannot imagine being non-existent, because we can never be non-existent. But now, because we mistake ourselves to be the body, we seem to be mortal. So we've got this idea, one day we're going to die. Sometimes the fear of death comes to us. But most of us, what happens when the fear of death comes? If we're very afraid we're going to die, we start thinking about our husband or our wife, our mother, father, children, our friends, our possessions, all the things that we've attached ourselves to. All these things we begin to think about. So what happens? Our mind goes outwards. The fear of death quickly vanishes because we're thinking of all these other things. Only if we have a very mature mind. Bhagavan uses a beautiful word in here. He uses the word literally means beautiful. What he literally says is beautiful people who have intense fear of death. The beauty he's referring to here is the beauty of being pure-hearted, of being a virtuous person, of being a pure-hearted person, of being a person having all good qualities. Because only when the mind is purified, when the heart is purified, will we be ready to surrender ourselves completely. So in the case of Bhagavan, because it wasn't Bhagavan who had the fear of death, it was some jiva was there who had that fear of death. When that jiva surrendered itself completely, what shone through that body was then the real Bhagavan. So that jiva who was born in that body had that intense fear of death. That jiva must have done so much preparation in previous lives. It was ready to surrender itself completely at the age as a 16-year-old schoolboy. We are all, well, we're all getting on. Some of us are older than others, but we're no longer as young as we once were. So we're all getting on. But Bhagavan, as a small 16-year-old schoolboy, he surrendered himself completely because he had that maturity, that beauty of heart, that purity of heart. So when the fear of death came to Bhagavan, he didn't go and consult anyone and ask he didn't go and ask for a doctor, he didn't go and discuss the problem with his mother or his elder brother or anything. The thought that came to him, something had happened a few years earlier. When he was 12 years old, his father had passed away. And when he went to see his father's body, seeing his father's body lying there, he was puzzled. Why everyone is weeping, saying father has gone? He's just lying here. So he asked, why is everyone weeping? And they said, see, your father's gone. He said, no, he's here. And they said, no, your father has gone. So then he was thinking to himself, what is this death? What do they mean when they say father has gone? Then he, after thinking of it for some time, the conclusion he came to is, I now know the I in me. My father's I has left its body. That clarity came to him at the age of 12. So when the fear of death came to him, the question that came to his mind is, okay, this body is going to die. But when the body dies, do I die along with the body? So because because our minds are attached to so many things outside, our mind goes outward when we have a fear of death. Because Bhagavan, the only thing Bhagavan was concerned about was about his own existence. Is he going to cease to exist when the body ceases to exist, when the body dies? So his attention went in to see, what is this I? Is this I going to die along with the death of the body? And because of the purity of his mind, he went in and just merged within instantaneously. Though he described it in words, he made it very clear. All this happened just in an instant. That fear of death came, his spontaneous reaction was to turn his attention within to see, what is this I? And in a moment it was all over. So Bhagavan is in this verse, he's talking about his own experience. He's talking about it in the language of bhakti, but the same thing can be said equally in the language of, it's just two different languages. It's the actual practice, surrendering ourselves and investigating ourselves are one and the same thing. We cannot turn our attention towards ourselves without letting go of everything else. And when we let go of everything else, we let go of the ego also. In another verse of Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu, he says, Ahande undayin anatum undahum. If the ego comes into existence, everything comes into existence. Ahande indrel indru anatum. If the ego doesn't exist, nothing exists. Ahande yabamam. The ego itself is everything. Adalal yadu idu indranadale uvadal yabam and or. Therefore, investigating what this ego is giving up everything. Because the nature of the ego is to take flight when we look at it, by investigating what it is, we are giving up everything. We're giving up the ego, and along with that we give up everything else. So Bhagavan's teachings are so beautifully simple. If we read philosophy, if we read all the Vedantic texts and everything, we'll read so much about ajnana, about avidya, about maya. So many terms are there. Bhagavan says all these are only ego. Because for how can there be avidya if there's not someone who has avidya? So who is it who has avidya? Who is ignorant? Who is deluded by maya? It is only I. That I who is deluded, that is the ego. That is the root of all the problems. If we get rid of the ego, we get rid of everything. Until we get rid of the ego, we haven't renounced anything. We can change the color of our clothes, we can change our name, we can go and sit in a cave in the Himalayas, but we haven't actually given up anything until we give up the ego. In one verse in Guru Vachakakavai, Bhagavan says, he who has given up the ego is the true Brahmin and the true sannyasi. But very hard indeed is the surrender of the ego for those who feel, I belong to the highest caste, or I belong to the highest ashrama. So this Bhagavan, in the very first verse of Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu, Bhagavan talks only about Uḷḷadu. He talks only about that reality. But in all, because that's the subject of the work, Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu means 40 on what is. So in the very first verse, he doesn't mention the ego or anything. Only thing he mentions thought, but he says that Uḷḷadu is without thought. But most of the rest of the verses of Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu, he's talking about the ego. Because the ego is the root of everything. The repeated theme throughout Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu, in one, I mean, he says it in so many different ways, but it all boils down to, if the ego comes into existence, everything comes into existence. All our problems are rooted in the ego. We see the world outside, we see so much suffering in the world. We know there are people in the world who don't have enough food to eat, there are people who had to work, who were so poor they had to work in terrible conditions, almost like slaves. There are wars going on. We know in Syria, innocent people are being bombed by their own government, and different factions are fighting with each other. Terrible things are happening. But the world, there's never been a time when the world has been at peace. For human nature, we're always fighting among ourselves about something. But all these troubles we see in the world, how all these troubles came into existence, because we rose as an ego. We are the ultimate culprit. We are responsible for all of this. Because we rise as an ego, all these things appear. So what is the greatest good we can do to the world? If we, in a dream, if we see so much suffering, what's the best way of helping all the suffering people in the dream? If we see people starving in a dream, we can try and feed them. But we may even be able, if we've got lots of food, we may be able to feed all those people. But some other problems will crop up. We can never solve all the problems of the world, except by one simple means. If we wake up from a dream, we save all the people in the dream. So if we attain liberation, we bestow liberation upon the whole world. So there's just this one eye. This one eye is the culprit. If we surrender this eye to Bhagavan, then we will solve all the problems of the world. The only problem is, this is such a simple path, and it's actually very easy to do. But it seems to us to be very difficult for a simple reason. We're not yet ready to let go. We still have all our attachments. If we're ready to let go, mukti is here and now. Bhagavan once said, everyone who comes here says they're coming only for mukti. But if I show even a small sample of mukti, all the crows will fly away and I'll be left sitting here alone.
There's one more same thing. Michael just one more same thing. All the people Michael just pointed out. He said, I try to find fault with any one of them. Then there won't be anybody to find fault with any one of them. Then there won't be anybody here. I think that was different. None of us flawed. I think that was different.
When people used to complain to Bhagavan about other people, he would say, everyone has their faults. I know the faults of all people, but if I begin to tell you the faults of all people, all of you will run away.
Having said that, thanks. Nothing. Please,
I have a question. So you mentioned about this phantom ego. I have a question. After reading, so you mentioned about this phantom ego, and ego is something that you after reading and hold on to. A lot of times when you can just ego is something that sometimes the phantom is like hold on to total you can just compression. So sometimes the phantom is like a total like a asura. And even though you're not in control of external, and even though you are not in feelings in your external situations, very disappointing, certain happy feelings in we are not in one side disappointing other people do or say, we are not in one so control about what at that point in time or to say the phantom ego becomes like a total ghost, at that point in time this ego, the phantom ego becomes like a total ghost, unable to accept one to try and how is one to some very in some cases I just chant tame it down to Ramana, and it just kind of calms down for the few minutes and then it just comes back and it just kind of calms down for the few minutes or few seconds and then it just comes back again propping up between two it just keeps propping up between two.
Our whole life is we are the ego. So we can never be for a moment without this ego until we are ready to let go of it and surrender it completely to Bhagavan. So, as I said earlier, the reason we are not ready to let go because we've got too much desire and attachment for other things. The opposite of bhakti is attachment. So always, to the extent that we have real love to know what we are, to that extent we'll have vairagya, freedom from desire for other things. But now for all of us, our bhakti and our vairagya is insufficient. We wouldn't be here if we had sufficient bhakti and vairagya. We would have surrendered ourselves and the story would be over. But we haven't yet surrendered ourselves. That means we don't yet have sufficient bhakti and vairagya. How to cultivate the bhakti and vairagya? At every moment in our life, we have a choice. Either we attend to ourselves or we attend to other things. It's a very simple choice. Most of the time, if we're honest with ourselves, we're making the wrong choice. We are more interested in all these phenomena of the world, all the various experiences. We are more interested in these things, so our mind is dwelling on them and therefore not dwelling on ourselves. So at each moment we have a choice. Do we allow our mind to go after all these phenomena, go after all these thoughts, or do we turn it back within to see who is experiencing all these things? Only by constantly making the right choice, by repeatedly turning our mind back within. In one verse in Aksharamai, Bhagavan says, Tirumbiya handane dinamaha kankan. Dinam literally means daily, but it means in this context constantly. Constantly turning within. And Tirumbi aham means is the Tamil word meaning in Tamil it's got two meanings. It's a word of Sanskrit origin that means I. It's a word of Tamil origin that means within. So in this context it means turning within. Tanei dinam aha kankan, seeing oneself with the inner eye. The inner eye means our attention. So turning our attention within daily. Terium means it will be known. Enjane and araṇ-āha. My araṇ-āha, that is what you taught me. So Bhagavan, the Upadesha that Bhagavan received in silence from araṇ-āha, he reveals in this verse that it is constantly turned within. Bhagavan used to say, nobody who has succeeded in this path has succeeded without perseverance. We have to persevere because the nature of our ego is to keep on going outwards, keep on trying to cling to forms. So it's only by patient perseverance, turning our attention back, whatever the ego may jump out to grasp, who is grasping this? Who is aware of this? Constantly turning our attention back within. We require patience and we require perseverance. And that patience and perseverance comes only with great love. That is the real bhakti. Turning our attention within. In one verse, Bhagavan says, Atma anusantanam aktu paramisa bhakti. Isan Atma, I can't remember exactly the word, but because God is existing in us as ourself, attending to ourself, that Atma anusantana, attending to oneself, is the supreme devotion to God.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So,
I had a quick question. You did mention that, go ahead. You go to the heart within and it's no place, right? You did mention that heart within and it's you go to the heart within and it's one at place, right? There's no single place 2 digits away from the fulcrum. In certain places, Bhagavan had said the heart was, and I know 2 digits away from the fulcrum, right? It's known, there's no physical location for the heart. My question was, and I know in my question was, said it's known, there's no physical location. You concentrate on that. My question was, after Osborne, apparently his book said he used to concentrate on that. I wouldn't say gave him experiences, but apparently keep him on the path. I wouldn't say gave him experiences. There are a lot of people who said no, that was not the right way of doing it. Keep him on the path. Osborne was a great disciple who said no, that was not the right way of doing it. The question is, Osborne was not the right way of doing it. He sat. Bhagwan has pointed him in the right direction. The question is, if that was not the right way of doing it, would Bhagwan have pointed him in the right direction? Always not. This was him. He did not say, don't do this. Path of inquiry, if I may put it that way. He used to always basically concentrate on that single point. Path of inquiry, if I may put it that way. He used to basically concentrate on that single point where Bhagwan had said the heart exists. Can you clarify that a little for me?
After Osborne came to Bhagavan, there were other people who had come to Bhagavan who didn't understand Bhagavan correctly. There were even some people who didn't like Bhagavan's teachings and tried to misinterpret it in their own way. Some of these people, particularly the followers of Kavyaganta, they had very different aims and ambitions. So when Lakshman Sharma first came to Bhagavan, that was shortly after Uļḷadu Nāṛpadu had been written. So Bhagavan one day asked him, have you read Uļḷadu Nāṛpadu? And then Lakshman Sharma said, no Bhagavan, my knowledge of, he's a Tamilian, but in those days, because of a British education policy, you had to study English and one other language in school. So in South India, in Tamil Nadu, most of the Brahmins chose to study Sanskrit, and most of the non-Brahmins chose to study Tamil. Whereas before their British education policy in the 19th century, any educated Tamilian, whether they're Brahmin or non-Brahmin, they would learn both Tamil and Sanskrit. But because of this education policy of the British, it so happened most Brahmins chose to study Sanskrit, and Lakshman Sharma was one of those, and most non-Brahmins chose to study Tamil. Only a few Brahmins chose to study Tamil. One of those was Muruganā, which is why he was such a great poet in Tamil. He also had a pretty good knowledge of Sanskrit, but he hadn't actually studied Sanskrit as explicitly, whereas Lakshman Sharma has studied Sanskrit in preference to Tamil. So though he obviously could speak and write Tamil, he had difficulty understanding literary Tamil. And Uļḷadu Nāṛpadu is written in a very it's written in classical Tamil. It's a poetry written in the classical. It's actually quite simple Tamil, but it's difficult for people if they're not familiar with the subject. I mean, once we get familiar with the work, it becomes very, very clear to us. But for many people, if they've not studied Tamil deeply, it's difficult to understand at first. So he said, Bhagavan, my knowledge of Tamil isn't enough. But then he thought to himself, this is a very good opportunity. Bhagavan himself has asked me. So he said, but if Bhagavan would like to teach me, I would very much like to study it. So then Bhagavan began to explain to him the meaning of Uļḷadu Nāṛpadu, verse by verse. And because he had a love for Sanskrit, because Lakshman Sharma had a love for Sanskrit, he tried to write it. He tried to translate it into Sanskrit. And at first he had an ambition, because Bhagavan had told him about the beauty of the Vemba meter. He thought, let me try and write it in Vemba. But he struggled a lot, because Vemba is not an easy meter to write in. So actually Bhagavan translated the first verse, the first maṅgalam verse of Uļḷadu Nāṛpadu. Bhagavan translated it into Sanskrit. That's the only Vemba that's ever been written in Sanskrit. In that, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Sanskrit, but what Bhagavan says in that, I'll just find it. Oh, no, it's not that. I think I've got the wrong file. I've got a copy of it here. I'll find it. Bhagavan almost exactly he translated that verse into Sanskrit. It's sorry, I'm just opening one file here. Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. So it was difficult for Lakshmana Sharma to translate it in Vemba, so he started translating it in some other meter. And he translated it, and after all each verse, when Bhagavan explained to him the meaning, he would write it in a Sanskrit verse, then Bhagavan would correct it, and he would try and revise it and everything. After he had completed the whole thing, going through the whole text, he wasn't satisfied, so he said to Bhagavan, I would like to, I think I should try and revise it. So again he went through with Bhagavan, and several times they went through it again and again. Each time he was experimenting with different meters, trying to convey the meaning as faithfully as he could in Sanskrit. And at a certain, this text was called Satdarshana, was the name Bhagavan and Lakshmana Sharma had given to this work. And after he had revised it several times, that file is open. So I don't know if any of you know Sanskrit, but if the Sanskrit Vemba Bhagavan wrote was Sadvina Sadnyanam Asti Kimu Satyam Vritti Rahitam Tridi Vibhati Attaha Tatridayam Jayati Katam Tridi Tadatma Stitihi Dhyanam Satvastu Nasyat. What that means is without Sat, can there be Satnyanam? Can Satnyanam exist without Sat? The Satyam shines in the heart free of thoughts. Therefore, how to meditate on it? The heart. Standing, that is, abiding in the heart as it is. That is, he says, Hridi tatatma bhava stitihi dhyanam. That's almost exact translation of what he says in Tamil. And then in the last sentence he says, Satvastu nasyat. May you be that Satvastu. So that was Bhagavan's Sanskrit Vemba. But as I said, Lakshmana Sharma wrote all the 42 verses several times, and with Bhagavan's help, and Bhagavan often corrected it or suggested ways of improving it. After they'd gone through it many times, Kapali Sastri, who by that time had left Bhagavan and was living in Pondicherry, he happened to visit Tiruvannamalai on his way to Sirsi, where Kavyaganta was living. And when he was told that this Sanskrit translation of Uḷḷadu was being made, he asked to see it. And he's a great Lakshmana Sharma was a fairly good poet in Sanskrit, but I mean he wasn't a natural poet, and he wasn't a great scholar in Sanskrit. He had a good knowledge of Sanskrit, but he didn't have a vast knowledge. Whereas Kapali Sastri was a very accomplished scholar. So he went through and he started finding fault with, oh no, this is not correct, this is not correct. He started trying to make corrections. Then finally he said to Bhagavan, Bhagavan, I think I should take this to Sirsi when I'm going now, and I'll show it to Kavyaganta. He may have some suggestions. So Bhagavan said to Lakshmana Sharma, okay, shall we give them a copy? And Lakshmana Sharma said, okay, sure, I'll write a copy of it and give to him. So he gave a copy of it to him, and Kapali Sastri then went to Sirsi, and a few weeks later, a letter was received from Kavyaganta, in which he said, I bow to Lakshmana Sharma for prompting me to take up this work, but perceiving my restriction on improving his work, I've written it afresh. I asked Bhagavan to request the ashram manager not to print it until Kapali has finished his commentary. So he assumed that his version was going to be the approved version, and he took the name Satdarshanam. That's how his work came to be known as Satdarshanam. When Lakshman Sharma saw this, he read it. It was beautiful poetry, far more beautiful than he could write. So he said to Bhagavan, "Oh, this is very beautiful. I'll take this for my Parayana." And Bhagavan at once objected, said, "No, revise your own version, but in a longer meter. See how so many important ideas are missing in this." And Lakshman Sharma at first was a bit surprised. Then Bhagavan started showing him in each verse how some places important ideas were missing. In other places, actually, ideas were distorted. So Bhagavan didn't approve of that Satdarshanam at all. But a few months later, Kapali Sastri finished his Sanskrit commentary. He translated it into English. Vishwanatha Swami translated it into Tamil, and all three versions were given to the ashram management to publish. At that time, that was 1931, the ashram had just begun to publish their own books. So Chinnaswamy was very happy with this. There's 3 books in English, Tamil and Sanskrit. This is sure to sell well. So he very happily published it. Then Lakshman Sharma said to Bhagavan, "Bhagavan, if your own ashram is allowed to publish this in your lifetime, won't people in future think that you've approved this?" And Bhagavan simply said, "According to the purity of the Antakarana, the same teaching reflects in different ways. If you think you can write a better commentary, you write your own commentary." And then Lakshman Sharma wrote his Tamil commentary on Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu, and he also wrote Mahayoga, which is based largely on Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu. So Bhagavan said to him, according to the purity of the mind, the same teaching reflects in different ways. So if people misunderstood Bhagavan, if people said, "Bhagavan, I don't understand what this means," he would explain to them. But if they thought they had understood and they were satisfied with their understanding, Bhagavan wouldn't say, "No, you're wrong." Because he knew if people don't yet have the maturity to understand correctly, however carefully it's explained, they will misunderstand it. So Bhagavan was very, very confident of the power of his silence. He knew that by his silence, he would be able to, he would eventually enlighten everyone. So the words were there. We cannot understand Bhagavan's words correctly except by his grace, except by his silence shining in our heart. That is what gives us the clarity to understand. So to the extent we've understood, that extent that comes from Bhagavan. That clarity that we have to understand it correctly comes from Bhagavan. He is the source of all clarity. So, if we're not yet able to understand, Bhagavan is very patient. He knows he knows how his grace is working in the heart of each one of us, slowly purifying our mind. We are constantly fighting against Bhagavan. I mean, we think we're surrendering to Bhagavan, but actually we are constantly fighting against him. Every time our ego rises, we are actually going against Bhagavan, but he knows he is the supreme reality, so this ego is nothing for him. But he's very, very patient. He will never force us. He will never force mukti upon us. He will wait till we're ready to let go. He won't kill the ego until we're ready to let go of it. So there were people who misunderstood Bhagavan. Bhagavan himself. And not only people misunderstood Bhagavan, there were many people around Bhagavan who had big egos. Bhagavan himself said, like the shadow at the foot of the lamp, there are those who live for their whole life at the feet of the Jnana Guru, but still remain like that shadow. It doesn't mean that it's useless. They may not seem to, in our view, they may not seem to be improved at all. But the mere fact that they were in Bhagavan's presence, that's a supreme blessing, and definitely that will have its effect. But it takes time, because Bhagavan has to slowly root out our attachments and make us willing to want what he wants to give us. So there are many. None of us understand Bhagavan perfectly. If we understood Bhagavan perfectly, we would surrender ourselves here and now. We're able to understand to a certain extent. So each of us understands to the extent that we are capable of. So if people were not able to understand, I mean, we can't say Arthur Osborne misunderstood everything. He understood a lot, but about the actual practice, he had this idea about the heart on the right-hand side. There are places in talks where Bhagavan very clearly says, meditation should not be on the right or left. Meditation should be on I am. Bhagavan says very, very clearly. But somehow Arthur Osborne didn't understand that. He believed that if you meditate on the heart on the right-hand side, you're meditating on yourself. But the heart on the right-hand side is a place in the body. And which heart is it? The heart in this body, or in the dream body, or in some other dream body? I mean, that obviously isn't. The heart means the center. So, in our experience of the world, we feel ourselves to be the center of our world, the world that we are experiencing. All these phenomena out there, we are here. From this central point, we are experiencing all these phenomena. So we are the center. So heart means center, the core. So we are the heart. Heart is not something other than ourselves. So it's not something physical. The reason why Bhagavan pointed out a place for the heart, for a long time Bhagavan refused to point out any place for the heart. But because Kavyaganta and his followers, they were very much into yoga and tantra and all these things. They were very interested in kundalini and everything. So Kavyaganta often used to ask Bhagavan, you talk about this heart. Where is this heart? Where is it located in the body? Bhagavan said, heart is Brahman. But where is it? It must have a place. And is it the Anahata chakra? Is it something else? So because of his persistence in asking that, Bhagavan finally said, in relation to the body, the heart is 2 digits to the right. For the simple reason, that is where, Bhagavan used to say, if a schoolboy says, I'll run to the post office and get there, he doesn't point to his legs, he points here. And if another person says, I'll work out that sum, they don't point here, I'll work out the sum, they point here. Where we feel the center of in relation to the body, we feel our center is here. And we can see sometimes, for example, supposing you're walking down the street and suddenly some drumming starts or an explosion or something, we feel a sudden start, you can feel here on the right hand side of the chest, because that is the seat of all experience in relation to the body. All emotion starts there. We talk about a person. If a person is, if a couple have been married for many years, and one of them passes away, we say they're heartbroken. It's a metaphorical way of saying it, but actually, when we face bereavement or when we're very unhappy, we actually feel it in our chest. We can feel physically, because the center of all the emotion, the center of everything in relation to the body is here. The mental activity seems to be going on in the brain, but actually the deepest feelings we feel in the chest. But I mean, so that is the rising point in relation to the body. That is the rising point of the ego. Bhagavan used to say, in yoga they talk about the Sushumna Nadi going up to the top of the head. Actually, that is not the end of it. It's a question mark. It comes down and ends here. This is the starting point. From here, the awareness rises to the head and spreads throughout the body and then projects out this world. That's how the process of projection works. So, so long as we feel ourselves to be this body, the center of ourselves we feel to be here. But the whole body is an object. In our experience, I mean, we are aware of the body as a phenomena, something other than ourselves. Though we have a confused feeling that this body is ourself, we also can say my hand, my arm, my head. We can observe each part of our body objectively. So the body is not what we actually are. So it's only in relation to the body, but this point in the body is called the heart. But that is the seat of all our emotions and everything. But what Bhagavan really means by heart, he says very, very clearly in so many places, heart is oneself. He doesn't mean two digits to the right of the center of the chest is oneself. He means the term heart refers only to ourselves.
Thank you.
To what we actually are.
Any questions?
What is the difference between the knowledge and pure awareness?
Thank you.
They are the one or the other?
Any questions?
What is the difference between the knowledge and pure awareness? What is the difference between the one or the knowledge and pure awareness? They are the
When
one
we talk
or the
about
other?
knowledge, we use the word knowledge is used in many different senses. Like if we one meaning of knowledge is information. I know that New Jersey is a state in the United States. It's near to New York. It's on the west coast. This is all information, but I call this knowledge. My knowledge of the American geography or whatever. So knowledge has many different meanings. Real knowledge, what is real knowledge, is only the self-awareness. The term atmaññāna is usually translated as self-knowledge, but it also means their knowledge doesn't mean knowledge in the sense of information. It means knowledge in the sense of awareness. So atmaññāna we can translate as self-awareness. The pure self-awareness, that is atmaññāna. Now we are always self-aware. There's never a moment that we're not self-aware, but our self-awareness is now mixed with awareness of other things. We're aware of ourselves as I am this body, I am Michael. That is a confused form of self-awareness. That's a mixed, that is not the pure self-awareness, that's an adjunct mixed form of self-awareness. So the pure self-awareness is the chit. The body is jada. The mixture of chit and jada, when these two are mixed together, they form a knot. If you have two pieces of string and you twist them together, you get a knot. If you separate those two pieces of string, there's no knot. The knot exists only when the two are mixed together. So the chit jada granthi, the knot that binds the chit and the jada, that is the ego. That is the result of the mixing of these two things. Because we have a confused awareness of ourselves. We always know ourselves. But because we mix our self-awareness with the tanonuvu, the self-awareness, with the upadi unuvu, the awareness of adjuncts, this confused awareness is the ego. So we have to separate. When we are investigating ourselves, Bhagavan says in Mahāśaṇ's Gospel in one place, he said, when in your investigation into the source of the aham vritti, you take the essential chit aspect of it. That is, we obviously, if we attend to the body, we are not attending to ourselves. We're attending to a jada portion of the ego. We need to attend to the chit portion of the ego. What is it that is aware of all these things? We go to the very heart of it. That is meditating on the heart. Meditating on the self-awareness which is at the heart of all experience. We cannot experience anything we cannot be aware of anything without being aware of ourselves. Because it's I who am aware of all these things. I who know all these things. I who experience all these things. I see this. I perceive that. I hear this sound. I feel this. I is the center of everything. So what is that I? Now it seems to be an ego, so long as it's looking elsewhere. If it turns its attention back to see what itself is, as an ego it disappears, and what remains, that is the jada portion disappears, and the chit portion alone remains. So then there's no not. There's only the pure chit. So chit and jnana actually mean one and the same. Awareness and knowledge mean the same, in a pure sense. But also, even awareness, we use, like in English we use, in all languages, words have different meanings in different contexts. I can ask you, are you aware that Moscow is the capital of Russia? That is, so you have awareness that Moscow is the capital of Russia, but that awareness is not the chit we're talking about. The one who is aware of that is the chit, that is the real awareness. So we always, when we read words can mean different things in different contexts. We have to understand. That's why Bhagavan said, words can never convey the truth perfectly. The real teaching is silence. But when we read Bhagavan's words, we have to think very deeply about them. Mere Sravana, mere hearing of the words is insufficient. We have to do manana. We have to think deeply about it. We have to. Bhagavan says this here, and he says that there. We have to try to see how, bring the two together, compare it, try and understand, and we have to draw inferences from what he says. Then only, so it's by thinking very carefully about all that Bhagavan has taught. Particularly, we can read books like talks and such books, but those aren't necessarily Bhagavan's original words, because someone else says it's been filtered through the mind of someone else. Someone who heard what Bhagavan said, then went away and from memory wrote down. And Bhagavan was speaking in Tamil, talks were written in English. And if you go away after we talked, and you try to note down everything that everyone has said here, the questions and the answers, it's not going to be perfect. It'll be what you understood of what was said. What you understood the questioner meant, what you understood the answer was. So talks is like that. It's someone else has recorded what Bhagavan said. There are some very, very nice ideas there, but there's also a lot of areas. One thing that was very, very characteristic of Bhagavan was simplicity and clarity. Whatever Bhagavan says, it'll be very, very clear. But there are passages we can read in talks, and it's really not very clear what is being said, what is the meaning there. So, but fortunately for us, Bhagavan has written his own teachings in his own works. The three works in which, all of Bhagavan's original writings are very important, but there are three texts in which he's expounded his teaching in a very systematic way. That is, firstly, Nāṇa. That was recorded by Shiv Prakashan Pillai, but Bhagavan himself rewrote it in the form of an essay. He rearranged the ideas and even modified some of the sentences, so to make it into a systematic exposition. So that's the first very important work. The next, in chronological order, Bhagavan wrote that about 1925 or 26. In 1927, he wrote Upadesha Undiyā. And in 1928, he wrote Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu. These three works, in Upadesha Undiyā, he's systematically dealing with all the different types of spiritual practice and showing how they all ultimately lead to Atma-vichara. And he explains how Atma-vichara is superior to all other. In the first 10 verses, or the first 8 verses, precisely verses 4 to 8, he grades the different practices of bhakti. Those done by body are less effective than those done by mind, than those done by speech, and those done by speech are less effective than those done by mind. Less effective there means, because in verse 3 he talks about purifying the mind. So the whole point of any practice is to purify the mind, because no karma can give liberation, but it can purify the mind and show the way to liberation. So all these actions, or any action of body, speech or mind, cannot give us liberation, but it can purify our mind. Most effective is the mental, less effective is vocal, and less effective is physical. So the puja is a physical action. That is less effective than japa, which is a vocal action. Even among japa, there are different. There are different types of vocal worship. We can sing hymns. We can do japa. We can do japa vocally. We can do it softly, or we can do it mentally. Mental japa is a type of dhyana, he says. But more among the dhyana, more effective than intermittent dhyana, uninterrupted dhyana is more effective, because for example, if we're meditating on a name or form of God, to the extent that we have a love for that name and form, we will attend to it. But if we've got worries about how we're going to pay the bills, about whether our children are doing well in school, whether we're going to get the promotion, all these things, if these thoughts are coming to our mind, that means we're more devoted to these things than we are to God. So to the extent that we have real love for God, we will be meditating without interruption. But then in verse 8, Bhagavan says, he comes to the real crucial point. Anya bhavatin avanaham ananya bhavamayundi para anaitinamuttumundi para. That means rather than anya bhava means taking God to be something other than ourselves. Ananya bhava, in which he is I, anaitinam uttamam, that is the best of all. That's of all types of spiritual practice, of all types of meditation, of all forms of bhakti. That ananya bhava. Ananya bhava means meditating on what is not other. What is not other is ourself. So with the conviction that what God really is I, attending to ourselves, that is the best of all. So what he calls there ananya bhava is atma-vichara. And again, then after verse 11 to 14, he's talking about the practices of yoga. And he says how by controlling the breath, you can bring about the manolaya. But once you're in manolaya, that's no use. You have to wait till you wake up again. So once you calm down the mind by pranayama, if the mind is then directed on the what he calls orvari has two meanings in Tamil. Or can mean one, so it can mean on the one path, or it can mean knowing or investigating. So if we send the mind on the path of investigation, what he's referring to there is self-investigation. In the Sanskrit version of this verse, he talks about ekachintana. So some people say one thought. So any one thought you attend to, it will, the mind will. That's not what Bhagavan taught us. What Bhagavan means, the one that Bhagavan is referring to there, the ekachintana is atma-chintana, the one that really exists, the one that is real. So if you think of Atma, if you direct the mind towards Atma, then the mind will die. So he in all these verses, he's showing how the ultimately all spiritual paths have to lead ultimately to self-investigation, and only self-investigation will lead to the goal. So in a very systematic way there, he's expounded his teachings. Then the ultimate text is Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu, that he wrote in 1928. In that what Murugan asked him, Neyin ilvam adumevam tiranam, that is, what is the nature of reality and the means to attain it? That is what Murugan asked Bhagavan to expound, and what Bhagavan expounded in Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu. So he starts off talking about, in the very first verse, he talks about nature of reality. Then he doesn't talk much about reality, he talks about the problem, which is this ego, and how to get rid of this ego by investigating it. So in these three texts, Bhagavan has expounded his teachings in a very systematic manner. If we are thoroughly conversant with what Bhagavan has said in these three texts, and if we constantly dwell on that, we can understand many things, and we can then read talks and we can say, oh, this Bhagavan wouldn't have said, this isn't what, or maybe sometimes another problem with conversations, recorded conversations, even if they're recorded accurately, Bhagavan is talking to individuals who come with individual questions, and according to what they have come for, Bhagavan answers the questions accordingly. We can see from the questions that Bhagavan is asked, not everyone who came had come only for liberation. People ask, Bhagavan, can I do this meditation? Can I do that meditation? Is this good? Is that good? If only Bhagavan will not give his own teachings unless people say, come to him like Shiv. Well, Shiv Kashan Pillai asked a perfect question. The first question he asked was, Swami, who am I? What Bhagavan had come to this world for, Shiv Kashan Pillai asked exactly the right question. But if most of us, we ask all sorts of questions. If we come and ask Bhagavan's approval for our ideas, if we say, Bhagavan, I'm doing japa, is that good? Yes, it's good. He'll say. But if we say, Bhagavan, I've done puja, I've done japa, I've done dhyana, I've done the whole everything, I don't seem to be getting anywhere. Tell me what I should do. Bhagavan will say, who asked you to do all this? Who is it who says, I have done all these things? Find out that I. That is the true puja, the true japa, and the true dhyana. That is all the four yogas are just that. Investigate this ego. That is bhakti, that is karma, that is
Michael,
that is yoga, and that is jnana.
It is great, and it's deep and beautiful what you said. And more importantly, I think the kind of ego and jada, like Michael, really, it is great being aware, deep and beautiful what you said. More importantly, I think by what you just said is in the beginning, really, by just being aware how the ego disappears and jada falls away. Because by what you just said that in the beginning, another thing that being aware is that how the people disappear and jada falls away. Children are doing, whether I'm getting promotion, whether I have another thing that you mentioned is that the people being embarrassed with how children are doing, whether I'm getting promotion, whether I will have a suspicious eye. These are problems many things, as it is old to many people. And the food is old to the employer. And what are the fictitious people who depend on somebody? So many times, as it is old to many people, like the food is old to the employer. And at moments when there is awareness, people who depend on somebody. But then activity is all going to the time and so it always comes back to that moments when there is awareness, network of relationships. There is no point people many things. In yoga Vasishtha they say, so it always references that a buffalo, which is a network of relationships. Once when we look at the self, so it is yoga Vasishtha they say, and references outside a buffalo, which is tied with thousands ropes, reconciled, and then once how to really in the day-to-day life it is free, and then how again bring about the complete effort, how to really reconcile, and then how to really in the day-to-day life how we can bring about the complete the effort to the world. Of course we are born to the world, but then that is just a feeling and imagination that is granted. But what needs to be done? Of course we are born to the world, but then that is just a feeling and imagination. Of course we are born to the world, but then that is just a feeling and imagination that is granted. But what needs to be done?
I'm concerned that Michael should get food every day, should have a nice warm house to live in this cold, wet winter. I'm concerned for the comforts of Michael, because I take myself to be Michael. And because I take myself to be Michael requires so many things. He requires clothing, he requires food, he requires shelter, he requires loving and caring friends and relatives. all these things are necessary for makkaḷ. If I take myself to be makkaḻ, I need all these things. Because I've attached myself to makkaḻ, I've attached myself to all these needs. So, but we have a choice at every moment, as I said. We have a choice either to allow our mind to go outwards, to take all these things to be real, or to turn our mind within. It's not a simple black and white thing, because we can be, even while we're in the midst of attending to external things, we can keep a certain portion of our attention on ourselves. But the extent to which we give up, well, the extent to which we attend to ourselves, and to the extent we are attending to ourselves, we're not attending to other people. The degree to which we attend to ourselves, to that degree we are freeing ourselves from attachments. But the attachments are not things that come and attach to us. We are the one, Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu, Bhagavan says, if the ego comes into existence by grasping, it's the ego that is doing the grasping. The bondage, the ego is the bondage, because the ego is binding itself to all these phenomena. So, but so long as we continue to rise as an ego, the ego cannot rise without grasping. The first form the ego grasps is a body, which it takes as itself. So long as we take ourselves to be a body, we do feel we have all these needs. Sometimes we get sick, we need medicines. Sometimes we're worried about what happens if I lose my job. We want to have security. So many things become necessary when we take ourselves to be a body. Bodies do have needs. We have no needs. But when we attach ourselves to the body, we feel the needs of the body to be our needs. So, but we cannot, because we are attached, we cannot easily, we're not ready to give up our attachments yet. We all want mukti, but we don't want to. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next year. Let me first get that promotion.
That is what we're trying. We're striving. All of us here. We're striving for the balance.
There is no balance. Yeah, no, the balance. True balance.
It's a very difficult question to answer.
Where the ego doesn't rise. So long as the ego rises, we're in a state of unbalance. We're attaching more importance to things which seem to exist and less importance to what actually exists. That is, so there's no state of balance for the ego. Bhagavan says, like the bird that flies in the sky has no place of rest until it comes down to the ground. The water that's evaporated from the ocean, it falls on the hills and it cannot rest until eventually it goes back to the ocean. So also the jiva, once the jiva rises, once the ego rises, there is no rest for it. There's no balance, there's no equilibrium, there's no harmony. It's a constant struggle. If we want peace, if we want harmony, if we want equilibrium, we have to go back the way we came.
The role of guru.
That's what Bhagavan says in the last verse about
pushing inside, or detachment, or the vairagya. How the role of guru plays with the jiva. Pushing inside. The role of guru. Detachment, or the vairagya. Pushing inside, or detachment, or the vairagya. How the role of guru plays with the jiva.
Darkness. Yeah, I mean, we're light. Without light, you cannot get rid of darkness. Light is absolutely essential. The guru is the light. The ego is the darkness. If we want to get rid of the ego, we need the guru. Bhagavan has. We see Bhagavan as a person who lived 54 years into the Vanamalaya and everything. That is not the real form. That is not Bhagavan's real form. Bhagavan manifested through that form in order to give us certain teachings. But Bhagavan is always shining in our heart as eye, and he is guiding us. Why we could be, why now it's Sunday, why are we sitting talking about these things when we could be out having a partying or going to a pub drinking. We could be doing so many things. Why we choose to be doing this? We are attracted to Bhagavan. Something has drawn us to him. Guru is the beginning, the middle and the end. Because we wouldn't even start on this path if he hadn't attracted us to him. And it's because of his power of attraction that we are drawn back to this path again and again. Even though we may not be following it so perfectly, we are not able to leave it. Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu, Bhagavan says. Who can leave? Now Bhagavan has caught us. We can't leave him. we have a prey in the jaws of a tiger, but the tiger isn't going to swallow the prey so long as the prey is struggling. So we have to keep quiet. But we're not yet ready to keep quiet because we don't want to be swallowed yet. But we know we can't escape. Once we've been drawn to Bhagavan, we can go and try and engage in worldly activities again. We're doing it all the time. But we can't completely leave Bhagavan. So we've been caught by him. So the sooner we surrender ourselves completely to him, the better.
Tomorrow's Deepam, Kartika Deepam, and tomorrow's Deepam. Last year, tomorrow's Deepam. Bhagavan got me to Sriramana. Kartika Deepam. This year I'm here, and last year I'm just praying. That's all.
Bhagavan got Michael.
Last year, this year I'm here. Bhagavan got me to Sriramana. This year I'm here. I'm just praying, that's all.
Bhagavan got Michael.
I had the good fortune of being there 20 consecutive Deepams, and now 20 consecutive Deepams I've been away. That is Bhagavan's will, but I mean, it's Bhagavan being in Tiruvannamalai, particularly on special occasions like that, is a very great blessing. It's very fortunate to spend time in Tiruvannamalai, but Bhagavan knows what we each need. When I lived in Tiruvannamalai, I thought I was going to live my whole life there. I had no reason to think that I would ever leave. But Bhagavan had other plans for me, so he changed. It obviously, since I was there for 20 years, that was what was good for me at that time. Obviously, for some reason, Bhagavan thought, chuck him out into the world. He's not doing his work properly here. Let him suffer a little in the world. so we don't know. But our whole life is charted out by Bhagavan. And it's charted out for our own spiritual welfare. So Bhagavan knows what is best for us at what time. So if we're able to spend time in Tiruvannamalai, that is very good. When he keeps us away from Tiruvannamalai, sends us here and there to America, UK or wherever, that's also part of his purpose. But we don't have to be in araṇ-āha to obtain mukti. Smaranat araṇ-āha, mere remembrance of araṇ-āha. You have brought to us, you remind us all that tomorrow is Deepam. So we are all now thinking about araṇ-āha. That itself is sufficient. Mukti ninekavaral araṇ-āha. Mere thought of araṇ-āha will give us mukti. And we are never actually away from araṇ-āha. Uḷḷadu, who can leave? araṇ-āha is always shining in us as I. araṇ-āha mena hamain in a pava. Teve rarupai araṇ-āha. araṇ-āha is that which is always shining within us as I. And that is the significance of seeing the Deepam. Itanuvei nanam and mati nitap buddhi ahankaram. Sorry, I'm getting myself mixed up.
No,
because he has one question.
Yeah.
How to
no,
look at the vasanas.
he's reading.
Because he has one question. How to look at the vasanas.
He's reading.
Yeah.
No,
Because he has one
Itanuvei
question. How to
nanam.
no,
look at the vasanas.
he's
The
reading.
this body is I. enam matiye nitap, giving up the thought that this body is I. Buddhi idiyate parandiya, that is fixing the mind in the heart. Aha no kāl, by aha no kāl means by self-attentiveness. Advita mame ahachurakan gebu, seeing that that inner light of the maraṇ-āha, the true of the true eye, the non-dual true eye. Kange, seeing that, bu mati enum anamale chulakam meye. That's the significance of seeing that light. So we don't have to be in Tiruvannamalai to see the Deepam. The real Deepam is what is shining in us as I. But to see that real Deepam, we have to give up this I am the body sense. We have to give up the ego. And we can give it up by aha no kāl, by fixing our mind in the heart, by turning within, by facing inwards, and thereby fixing
Michael,
our mind in the heart.
like I said, we read from the talks, and one of the things that apparently Bhagavan had said was, efforts must be made to eradicate the vasanas. Otherwise, rebirth after death takes place. Like I said, we read from the talks. This question was, and one of the things that rid of the vasanas, apparently Bhagavan eradicated the vasanas. Efforts must be made to eradicate the vasanas. Otherwise, rebirth after death takes place. So one of the devotees here, his question was, how do you get rid of the vasanas? How do you eradicate the vasanas?
The way to get rid of vasanas, he says, Tondru Totu Varakindra Vishaya Vasanegal, Alvatra Vanai, Kadal Alegal Pol Tondranam. Though Vishaya Vasanas, which come from time immemorial, appear without limit, like waves in the ocean. Adeyabam Sarupa Dhyanam Kalamba Kalamba Arindu Vidam. That is, they will all be destroyed as Swarupa Dhyana increases and increases. So the more intensely, Swarupa Dhyana means meditation on ourselves, self-attentiveness. The more we attend to ourselves, the more the Vishaya Vasanas will be destroyed. And then he says, without giving room even to the doubting thought, whether it's possible to destroy all these vasanas, Sarupa Dhyanate Vidya Pidiyai Pidika Vendam. That means tenaciously. We have to cling firmly to that Swarupa Dhyana. That is the only way to destroy the vasanas. But what are Vishaya vasanas? What are Vishaya? Vishaya means all phenomena. Everything other than ourselves that we see is a Vishaya. So the vasana, the liking to attend to all those things, the inclination to attend to all these things, the tendency, the propensity to attend to all these things, is what is constantly dragging our mind outwards. The only way to weaken that is to turn our mind within, to focus our attention
When you
on
say
ourselves.
within, are you talking about the silence within or the feeling of I am? You say self-attentiveness, right? What exactly do you mean by self-attentiveness? Is it turning the mind towards that silence within? When you say within, are you talking about the silence within or the feeling of I am?
Is it turning the
You say self-attentiveness, right? What exactly do you mean by self-attentiveness? Is it turning the mind towards that silence within?
But in order to attend to ourselves, we have to know what ourself is. That is why this is a part of investigation. We all know I, but we don't have a clear idea of what this I is. We've got a confused awareness of I, because our self-awareness is mixed with awareness of other things. So we try to focus our attention only on the self-awareness, only on ourself alone. Yes, the nature of self-awareness is silence, so we can call it silence, but it's not... so long as the mind is there rising, sometimes we feel relatively quiet, sometimes we feel agitated. That relative quiet is something that comes and goes. So who is it who experiences mental agitation at some times and calmness at other times? Who is that I? Turning our attention towards the one who experiences all these things, that is self-attentiveness. Our self-attentiveness is not yet perfect, because Sadhguru used to give the analogy of turning 180 degrees. It's as if now we're facing outwards, we're seeing all these phenomena. We have to turn away from everything else back towards ourselves. It's a 180-degree turn. We are not yet able, we may be able to turn 5 degrees, 10 degrees, even 175 degrees, even 179 degrees. Even when we turn 179 degrees, there's still some awareness of Vishaya is still, or phenomena is still mixed in there. We haven't completely given up the external Vishaya. So we have to continue trying until we're able to focus our entire attention on ourselves alone. As we, at first we don't have a very, very clear idea of what it is, but when we practice and practice and practice, we learn with practice. When people used to ask Bhagavan, how to investigate ourselves, how to inquire who am I? Bhagavan said, if the way were objective, it could be shown by someone else. The way is subjective, so it can't be shown by anyone else. You need to be shown the way inside your own home. So Bhagavan's words are pointers. We have to think deeply about those pointers and try and put them into practice. Thinking deeply about them is the manana. Trying to put them into practice is the nididhyasana. At first our nididhyasana won't be very perfect, but the more and more we try, when we are turning our attention back within, what are we turning our attention to? We are turning attention to the inner light, the light of awareness. This whole world is illuminated by what? We say physical light is illumining the world, but what is illumining that physical light is the mind light. What is illumining the mind light? That is the pure self-awareness. So we are turning back to that pure self-awareness. That is the source of all lights. So we are thereby, we gain clarity to the extent that we turn within. So the more we turn within, the more we will understand what self-attentiveness is, the more we will understand the meaning of Bhagavan's words. If we never try to practice what Bhagavan has taught us, our understanding of his words will be very imperfect. As we try and practice them more and more, things that we had read many years ago and didn't see any significance in, we read them again now and we see great significance in them. Even a few words of Bhagavan, we take any verse of Uḷḷadu Nāṛpadu or any sentence in Nāha, so deep meaning is there. But that deep meaning becomes clear to us only when we read it repeatedly, think about it carefully, and above all, put it into practice. By putting it into practice, we are purifying our mind, gaining greater clarity, and then when we read the same thing, Bhagavan said to Lakshman Sharma, according to the purity of the Antakarana, the same teaching reflects in different ways. I started reading Bhagavan's teachings 40 years ago. At that time, my understanding was very imperfect. It's still imperfect, but it's improved a lot in these 40 years. Because of constantly reading it and trying, I don't say I've done any very great nididhyasana, but at least I've tried little by little by little to put what Bhagavan has said into practice. The more we try to put it in practice, the clearer it becomes. And the more we see the simplicity of what Bhagavan has taught.
I've heard you in other YouTubes and very familiar with your background. Also, talked to a few people who have gone to Giri Pradakshina with you also, not by design. It happens. I've heard how you say exactly the last 4 seconds. And very familiar with your background. You have been at this, a few people who have gone to Giri Pradakshina with you also. As a not by design, it has very beginner at this. When I hear it, I've heard you say exactly the last sentence. Troubled. 40 years, troubled for my future because been at this, and you've been. I mean, there is no hope for me at this point. That's all. As a beginner, because as a semi, I mean, the waves are very beginner at this. When I hear it, I instant back and forth in this. Troubled for my future because it does take a lot. It's like, I mean, there is no hope for me at this point. That's all. That's how it comes to progress. Waves, time you don't know whether it's progressing backward or forward. That's the problem. Constant. There's no way of gauging it also. It does take a lot of good enough to know. There's no time factor. It's progress. So very individual. Half the time you don't know whether it's progressing backward or forward. That's the problem. There's no way of mentally understanding. When we do it is as difficult as good enough to know that there's no time factor in this. But it's very individual to the person. All that we understand, all that mentally understand. But when we do it, it is as difficult as the first thing.
Studying Bhagavan's teachings and trying to practice them for 40 years. You may have just started yesterday, but if we don't know where I started or where you started, you may have already in previous Janmas practiced this, so you may be starting somewhere from far ahead of me. So just because I no, what I mean is we don't know. We can't measure where we are. You're discouraging us if you say that you've not, that you still feel yourself to be very imperfect in this practice, even after 40 years. What hope is there for us? Many people ask me. That's an unrealistic question because we don't know. I can say about myself, I'm a very, very immature spiritual aspirant. It is only by Bhagavan's grace that I've been brought to this path, and he's given me this love for his teachings. At least I have love for the words of his teachings. I've yet to gain that love to actually put his teachings into practice. I try, but I have to be honest with myself. My mind is, I still have strong Vishaya vasanas. My mind is still going outward. But Bhagavan has made it clear there is no way but to succeed but by patient perseverance. We just have to keep on trying. Bhagavan, one thing we can be assured of, Bhagavan says,
Mountain of gunpowder requires just a spark. Mountain of gunpowder requires just a spark.
Nesamil enakun,
gunpowder requires just a spark.
In Nesamil enaku, to me who had no love, ṇāha, you gave me desire for you. You showed me that desire for you. You gave me a taste of that desire for you. Mosam chayadaro, do not cheat me, Bhagavan. So we are, well, I can say about myself, I'm totally unfit for the spiritual path. But somehow by his grace, he's given me this slight desire for him. He's given me this attraction to his teachings, and he's drawn me to this path, even though I have no real true love. So we can rely on him not to cheat us. He will not cheat us. If he's taken all the trouble of sowing this seed in this barren soil, he will he will water it, he will give it the necessary manure, and he will make sure that seed will flourish. So we should never be dejected or give up hope. He says in Nanya, it is we can never be he said just like those who are caught in jaws of a tiger cannot turn back, cannot escape. In the same way, those who have come under the glance of the Guru's grace will certainly be saved and will never be forsaken. That's a very, very great assurance. But he says, Eninum, Guru Kartiya Varipadi, Tavarado Nadikavendum. But it is necessary to unfailingly follow the path shown by the Guru. So he will certainly do his part, which is the major part. We just have to do our little part by trying at least little by little by little to follow what he has taught us. But our fate is sealed already. We have come to Bhagavan, there is no escape. Even if we try to escape, we cannot escape him. It's just a matter of time. The more we yield to him, the easier, the more less painful it will be. If we struggle around, now we're in the tiger's jaws, if we struggle around to escape, we are just extending our suffering. Best once you're in the jaws of the tiger, okay, give up. Let him finish.
Thank you very much,
We're not
Michael.
ready to give up yet. That's the problem.